And by the way, gluten is not found in flour, right? When you add water, that's when gluten is created. What happens is that if your flour has very high protein, it's terrible for cake. If you are the type of person who has dealt with bread making, you know that you want a higher protein content in bread, right? So some people actually call it high protein flour, some people call it because so you want less amount of protein. So the three main types of flour are high protein, cake flour, and then the one in between, which most of us are using, which is all-purpose flour. In a perfect world, if you're making cakes, you want that low protein. You want 7 to 8% protein in your flour, right? And there's different ways of doing this. But technically, first and foremost, you have to know that. Some of you may not know this. Secondly, you have to be able to pick. Another thing, I won't name brands, but another thing is brands. Like, have you tested different brands? How do they compare when you bake cake and when you make bread? Like, I won't lie, some Kenyan brands, I have tested them and I found I prefer this brand for cake. I prefer this brand for bread. I think it's because as much as all of them are all-purpose flour, some have different percentages of the protein. So you tend to find that maybe one has a little bit of higher protein, so it's good for bread, but it's not that great for cake. So you need to start experimenting with this, understanding why it's important, and then figuring out what to use. Here's another thing I tell my students. If you overfold, like once you're adding your dry ingredients, if you overmix, it can give you a tough cake because you don't want to develop gluten. The more you work with dry ingredients like the flour and some type of liquid, it develops the gluten, which you don't want for the cake making. And so you need to figure out how long should I fold? Which method should I use? That kind of thing. So when it comes to flour, very important. It's a structure, but also you need to figure out which one to use, which brand to use, all that stuff.